This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Draft legislation to establish a medical cannabis industry in the Bahamas should be released for consultation in about a month or so. Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder recently making that announcement. The AG says that draft legislation is at the Ministry of Health. As it is intended, the cannabis legislation will have a medicinal framework.
So certainly as a medicinal framework, the Ministry of Health is an operative agency with respect to that. I can let you know that all of the pieces of legislation have been drafted along with the regulations and the respective orders, and the legislation encompasses a number of amendments in a number of areas, such as, the Pharmacy Act has to be amended because you deal with dispensary items and all of that. So we've made all of those amendments in draft form.
Legislation with regards to cannabis has been in the works for some time now. Last June, Attorney General Pinder noted that the Davis administration intended to advance comprehensive legislation to regulate a medical cannabis industry and a separate framework for industrial hemp.
We prepared a presentation now that will go to Cabinet within the next 2 weeks to explain the framework, 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say, that will explain the framework of what we're looking to do with respect to the regulation of medicinal cannabis, and then seek Cabinet's approval to go to public consultation, which will naturally be rather extensive on such an important piece of framework, legislative framework. And that consultation will happen and will launch probably in a month or month and a half.
The Attorney General did not reveal when the marijuana legislation will be tabled in Parliament. Another contribution to the country from the People's Republic of China, this time 6 65-inch televisions that are set to be immediately installed into the House of Assembly. Chinese Ambassador to the Bahamas, Jcn News, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Patricia DeVoe, and Deputy Speaker, Sylvanus Petty, attended the handover ceremony.
And our Chairman of the National Committee of the National People's Congress, Mr. Wu, visited the Bahamas. He brought these TV sets and also some computers to the Bahamas House of Assembly. But now it's been 14 years, and these TVs were not smart TVs. Yeah, so that's why, in my conversations with Madam Speaker, we talked about how our embassy can further support the House of Assembly. So we decided to donate 6 65-inch TV sets and mounts to the House of Assembly, so to make it easier for them to use it in their communications. So we are very proud to be able to make this donation to reflect a profound friendship between our National People's Congress and the House of Assembly, and also between our embassy and the House of Assembly.
Last week, Ambassador Jcn News was also in attendance at the handover ceremony for the donation of medical supplies to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she spoke of China's long-standing relationship with the Bahamas. Speaker DeVoe expressed her appreciation for this latest donation.
As soon as possible, we look forward to installing these televisions because they are really, really needed and required, because a lot of our ministers, they utilize these rooms for private meetings. So having a smart TV is an exceptional help to them in their jobs.
Bilateral relations have existed between the Bahamas and China since the late 1990s, when diplomatic relations were officially established. On the crime front, 2 men are in hospital nursing injuries following arguments and separate incidents that also escalated into physical altercations over the weekend. Police are aggressively searching for the suspects responsible for 2 stabbings. Police reports indicating that shortly after 1:16 a.m. on Sunday, a 31-year-old victim, along with his girlfriend, they were traveling east on Fire Trail Road towards the Somalo-Butler Highway when the driver of a silver Nissan Note stopped suddenly in front of them. The victim blew his horn, and he and the driver of the Note both exited their vehicles. The male then got into an argument. During this incident, a knife was produced, which resulted in the victim being stabbed multiple times about the body. The suspect then sped off in his silver Note in an unknown direction, and the victim was transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital in a private vehicle, where he is listed in serious condition. Prior to this incident, sometime around 11:30 on Saturday night, a 33-year-old male was walking in the area of Meadow Street and Blue Hill Road when he was approached by a male known to him. The males got into an argument and eventually a knife was produced, which resulted in the victim being stabbed multiple times about the body. The suspect then fled on foot in an unknown direction. Emergency medical service responded to the scene and transported the victim to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where he remains in stable condition. A 35-year-old was also arrested by police attached to the Criminal Investigation Department. The male of Sandilands Village was arrested and charged with unlawful sexual intercourse. The incident related to reports that on Thursday, April 6, while at the Eastern Estates Park, the victim, a 12-year-old female, while playing, was approached by an unknown male who sexually assaulted her. An armed robbery on Saturday leaves police here in the capital seeking the public's assistance in locating two men who robbed another man of a large amount of cash and a cell phone. According to police, sometime around 9:40 p.m. Saturday, while leaving his place of employment in the area of East Bay Street, the victim was approached by two male occupants of a silver Kia Jeep. The passenger of that Jeep produced a firearm and instructed the victim to get inside the Jeep. Being in fear of his life, he complied. He was then robbed and subsequently ordered to exit. The suspects then made good their escape, heading east on East Bay Street. Police investigations continue there as well. And finally, Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder also revealing recently that the company responsible for the oil spill near Georgetown, Exuma last summer has agreed to pay a fine for environmental damages caused. While he did not reveal the amount of the fine, he noted that it is a first fine collected by the government of the Bahamas in an environmental matter since the passage of the legislation. Last July, 35,000 gallons of diesel spilled into waters as a vessel contracted by Sun Oil was offloading fuel to Bahamas Power and Light at Georgetown. The Attorney General also spoke to the sunken vessel Onego Traveler that sank off of Abaco last year and has yet to be removed.
We are looking to put in fines on the delay of the removal of the wreck in Abaco. How our legislation is drafted, just to be clear on this, you would have seen I had a piece in the paper addressing this today. Our legislation restricts our ability to issue what's called spot fines, fines on the spot. They require us to go to court, get a judgment, and issue the fines. We are now redrafting some regulations under the Environmental Planning and Protection Act to allow DEP to issue spot fines in issuances of continued noncompliance.
Attorney General Pinder explained that the government is looking at issuing fines for the delay of the removal of the ship. He said they are looking at a vast scope of legislation, including the Merchant Shipping Act and all underlying regulations, to properly enumerate the authority to issue spot fines on the delay of the removal of the vessel, which is near a hole in the wall on South Abaco. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.